This is Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related, and today we have some news to cover. The Stadia team recently put up a community blog post stating what we can expect for the July Pro games, some new sales, and some new games launching on the store. So let's not hesitate and dive right in by covering the brand new Stadia Pro deals. As a quick heads up, all the prices are listed in the US dollar. Now with that out of the way, let's begin by talking about the first deal, and that's Football Manager 2020 for $25. In this game, you get to manage a football club and every decision you make counts. And if you're a fan of football or management games, you should definitely consider giving this one a look. Some notable features worth talking about are the fact that you can base yourself in 50 of the biggest footballing countries worldwide, oversee a new era of success at one of the 2,500 clubs at every level, scout more than 500,000 real players and staff, create your vision and bring it to life on the training pitch, and the game features the most immersive and smartest match engine to date. Now, I don't have any personal experience because I haven't actually played these games and they're not my cup of tea. That said, the game has received very favorable reviews amongst fans of the franchise. Now, the next few Stadia Pro deals revolve around Metro Exodus. You can currently purchase the game for $16, the Gold Edition for $26, or if you receive the game as a part of Stadia Pro, you can also buy the DLC at a discount. The two kernels is $4.79 and Sam's Story for $14.39. As for the game itself, if you haven't already played it through Stadia Pro, this is a post-apocalyptic Russian wilderness, and it's an insanely good game. This game features a very strong single-player narrative, and it's a journey throughout, but I don't want to spoil too much of it if you're actually interested in starting it. If you do want to know more about the game, feel free to click on the annotation above where I discuss it into more depth. Now, if you've already beaten the game and enjoyed your time with it, I highly recommend you also pick up both DLCs, their additional story, and their fantastic ones at that. I may even go as far to say that the stories within them rival the main game. Also, as a quick heads up, there is a sale price for non-Stadia Pro members. It's not as cheap, but hey, you're not paying for Stadia Pro and it's still a discount. But now let's move on to the new games that have been added to the store, beginning with Wave Break. This is a skateboarding game, and yes, you heard that right, skateboarding, not skateboarding. But don't worry, you'll have an insane amount of tricks to perform as well as many rails to grind. And let's not forget, plenty of guns to shoot. This game takes inspiration from many titles, such as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Wave Race 64, as well as Miami Vice. Now, I've recently covered this game, so if you're actually interested in finding out more about it, once again, click on the annotation above. I go much more in depth explaining everything you can expect out of the game and my impressions and whether I think it's worth the price or not. I will highlight the fact that it does feature online and split-screen multiplayer, a campaign, as well as free play mode, and you can even play with bots if you can't find enough people online. Now let's move over to the next two titles that have been added to the Stadia store. We're talking about Metro 2033 Redux and Metro Last Light Redux. These are the definitive editions of the first two Metro games, so if you enjoyed Metro Exodus but didn't play the rest, now is a great time to start. Both games were brought over to the 4A engine, so they're definitely much better looking than they were when they originally released. So you'll see a lot of things like improved lighting, physics, dynamic weather effects, and more. My personal thoughts on this is that whether or not you've played Metro Exodus, these two are worth picking up if you enjoyed the world and story. I will say both of these games are much more linear than Exodus, so the path is pretty straightforward. That said, they're still fantastic products. Fans of the franchise may even prefer these over Exodus because of that reason, as the narrative is much more tightly packed. Both of the titles are currently available on the store for the price point of $19.99. The last thing coming to the store this week is Borderlands 3 Bounty of Blood. This campaign DLC will have you restoring justice to the frontier as you go up against the Devil Riders gang. This DLC certainly has an old western feel to it, but this is Borderlands, so expect crazy things like dinosaurs throughout. This all takes place on a new planet, and will include new legendary items, vehicle skins, vault hunter heads, and more. This DLC will be available on the Stadia store June 25th for $14.99. But now let's talk about the biggest news so far, and that's the July Stadia Pro games. This month, they're adding 4 new titles, with the only one being taken out being The Elder Scrolls Online, which will leave July 16th, so be sure to pick that one up. But now let's take a deeper look into the titles we're getting this month, beginning with Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. This game is based on a classic series and it's returning with a great comeback. It takes everything it's learned from its predecessors and modernizes it and makes it just a fun game to play, but also an amazing game to look at. These beautiful hand-drawn animations almost stand out as much as the bright and vibrant color scheme. Thankfully, it's not just all show. Like I said, the game features fantastic gameplay. I've personally played it and it's one of the best Metroidvanias out there. In the game, you'll be able to switch from up to 6 different forms that will open up paths but also increase your combat efficiency. The soundtrack itself is also composed by iconic Japanese composers. And to top it off, you can expect over 15 hours of gameplay, so there's enough here to enjoy. Let's not forget, the game originally is priced at $29.99, so if you're a Stadia Pro member, that's quite a bargain on its own. Next up, let's take a look at West of Loathing. This single-player slapstick comedy adventure role-playing game is set in the Wild West. But don't worry, this isn't your typical Western story. There's gonna be a bunch of crazy and wacky scenarios that you're gonna be shoved into. This game will have you fighting against skeletons wearing cowboy hats and going up against demon cows. It features an open world chock full of dangers, quests, puzzles, and mysteries, a storyline full of jokes, gags littered throughout, and a very unique art style to say the least. Now, to tell you the truth, I haven't played this game and I was quickly dismissing it when I first looked into it, but then I started seeing the reviews. The game is rated overwhelmingly positive on Steam and it has actual fantastic scores across the board. According to these reviews, there's quite a bit of depth and it's a fantastic game. They even say that the comedy nails what it sets out to do. The game on average takes about 7 hours to beat just the main quest line, but that's not touching any of the side story content, which there seems to be a ton of. Lastly, this game retails for $10.99, but now let's move on to the next game. And that's none other than Crata. This title may be one of the most important games to launch on Stadia so far, considering it's going to be launching with the state share beta. But what makes Crata so important? Well, it's one of those very unique games that allows you to create, play, and share games. That alone means the potential is huge, and based on what the Crata developers have shown on their YouTube channel, it really seems like it could be a big deal. They've already created examples of what's possible, such as prop hunt, obstacle courses, and much more. But it doesn't stop there. There's a ton of creative things that they've shown off, including a top-down RPG. This is also exactly why it's going to be launching alongside State Share. It's the perfect title to do so. By copying and pasting the State Share link, people will be able to click on it and therefore jump right into a cool creation you may have discovered. And for creators, you can also use the State Share to have other people work on your project alongside you without having to go through any menus. This really does streamline the idea of play, create, share, and it's fantastic to see it in action. I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this game because, like I said, it could have a ton of potential. The game will retail for $39.99 for non-Stadia Pro members and also features a deluxe edition that includes some exclusive cosmetic items for $59.99. And now let's talk about the last Stadia Pro title of the month, and that's the original SteamWorld Dig, A Fistful of Dirt. If you've played the sequel, which is also a Stadia Pro title, you know very much so what to expect. It's still a very solid game and a fun one to play, but personally, I think the sequel kind of did it better, so just know that when you're going into it. For those of you who haven't played either, this is a Metroidvania-inspired game where you're going to be platforming into dark areas while mining and upgrading your gear. It's a fun experience overall, and the story does connect with the second entry. The biggest difference between the two though has to be the fact that the first game has randomized generated worlds. Now this may be a good or bad thing for you depending on how you like to play your games. The main storyline can be beat in around 5 hours. As for the price, the game retails at $9.99. That covers the 4 Stadia Pro games coming July 1st and actually adds up to an astounding $91 worth of games. In my eyes, Stadia Pro continues to be quite an amazing value. Now that covers all the news I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Today's end of video question is going to be all about the July Pro games. Which one are you most excited for? I imagine many of us are going to be choosing between Crata and Monster Boy. For me, I'm leaning more toward Crata since it's something new and I haven't played it yet, but I'm curious to find out your answer as well. Do let me know in the comments section below. As always, thank you for watching this video. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related. The Gen S community is over 4,400 strong and growing by the day, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.